Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and appreciate your leadership on these pension issues, retirement issues over the years. And it's good to have my colleague from Ohio, Sherrod Brown, as your co-chair. Ohio has been hit hard. We've been affected in a substantial way. And for a lot of families in Ohio, they played by the rules, did everything right, and then the rug got pulled out from under them through no fault of their own. And they've been ably represented, the Teamsters, by Rita Lewis and Mike Walden and others, John Vargo and Norm Skinner of the UMW. I don't see them here today, but with that camouflage, it's hard to see you guys. But also the businesses, are getting more concerned, and it's the big businesses like UPS, obviously, they're in a little different situation, but because they made a decision to pay a withdrawal liability at some point, but they're affected for some of their workers, but also a lot of small businesses. And they know that they're going to end up holding the bag also, and some of them will be affected significantly. Some may go bankrupt. So this is something we have to solve. I will say, it's been said here already, but this has got to be not just bipartisan, but we got to figure out how to do this in a nonpartisan way. There are more than 1 million participants in these critical and declining status plans now. That's plans that would be bankrupt in the next 20 years. And, decades of hard work, dedication, and now everything's being threatened. So Ohio, we have about 60,000 people who are affected. Many worked dangerous jobs, as was said earlier, and Joe Manchin talked about that, to build, power, and support all of us, and in many cases traded off salary increases and health care benefits to be able to earn that pension because they thought the pension was more important and they knew that they would need it to support their families. Pennies on the dollar is what they'll get if we don't come up with a solution. And I'm not suggesting this commission is the only way to do it, but frankly, I don't see any other way. So this happens soon. It could be even sooner than the 2025 date, which is what the PBGC estimates. So it's right around the corner. I do think that we've got to look at this differently than we do in a committee, and I'm a little concerned, frankly, and I'll be just frank with my colleagues, some of whom I know well, some of whom I don't, but how we've started off. I appreciate the comments made this morning, but I also think we've got to be sincere about not treating this like another committee. And, we sit at this desk, Sherrod and I, and the chairman, and we have our debates, and we divide along party lines most of the time. If we do that, this is done. I mean, our work is done. We might as well not waste our time. And I'll be very frank. I'll tell you one of my concerns about the way we've started. I'm told that you guys have all met. We haven't met. Republicans haven't met. This is our first meeting here with a bipartisan group trying to, again, start this thing off in a bipartisan way. There's even a report saying you guys have not only met as Democrats only, but you've agreed to stick together, and particularly to support one piece of legislation, which, that report is probably not true. Sherrod's about to tell me it's not true, but he's going to call it fake news. But that's one of the reports I've seen, and it concerns me, to be frank. You guys are passionate about this, as am I, and it's heartfelt. I don't question that. But, and to my colleagues on the Republican side, same thing. I know some of you have worked this a long time, have different views, but we've got to somehow shed ourselves of all those and start afresh, because if we don't, we're just right back to where we are now. And that's unacceptable. We all agree with that, right? We just can't. The status quo is not acceptable. So I hope we can figure out how to just take off our partisanship, including me, and look at the data. I mean, we don't have a Congressional Budget Office score on the legislation that you guys are touting this morning, that Richie was talking about, and we don't even know what it costs. The scores we have gotten, the preliminary scores, are pretty concerning. I'm not going to talk about them this morning because I want to get the actual score. I actually want to have the data. There's other data we need and information as to the effect. Will this solve the problem? What will solve the problem? I think Representative Schweikert makes a good point that we don't want to just do a short-term thing here. We got to figure what's the long-term solution so we're not right back here again. So I don't mean to, be the skunk at the picnic or be unhappy about being on this commission, because I think it's a great opportunity. I really do. But it's only an opportunity if we really look at this differently, and including me, and figure out how we go to the data, go to the information, come up with a longer-term solution that works, and not be stuck on our individual biases or strong opinions as to what we think might be best. We got to sell this to our colleagues. We got to sell to all of our colleagues. It's going to be an up or down vote. It's not just another committee exercise where we can amend it and have two partisan approaches. So with that, Mr. Chairman, on that happy note, yield back my time.